we were about 2 blocks away at Sainte-Chapelle, which is the prison where Marie Antoinette was. Sorry, the church. I'm sorry, down the way. My wife's correcting me. We were trying to make our way down to the chapel to see if we could squeeze in a final tour because there were so many people outside the cathedral earlier today, hundreds and hundreds. And as we got there about 6:45, we realized that it was actually closing. And that's when we first noted that there was a scent of smoke in the air. And we noticed there were some people lining the bridge just across the street from it. So we looked over and saw that it was just beginning to billow out at that point. And I put a couple pictures on Twitter at that moment because we didn't know if it was a small fire or something coming from behind the cathedral or not. But as the time went on, about 15, 20 minutes later, the smoke continued to get stronger and thicker. It changed colors from green to dark orange and then finally a black that filled the sky. And then obviously at that point, people knew that something major was definitely going on.
I just wanted to update our viewers about the significance of that spire. It was not just part of the Parisian skyline, but it contained relics that are considered sacred to Catholics. Now, relics tend to be pieces of a body, of a saint's body, and in this case, there was a relic that is believed to be from Jesus Christ's crown of thorns, which is what he wore on Good Friday when he was crucified, and that, of course, is this coming Friday in the Catholic Church. And then relics from Saint Genevieve and Saint Denis, who are both French saints. So there has been this tremendous loss, not just of a spire that changes Paris's skyline, but certainly of relics that are very, very important to the Catholic Church.
Let's listen in right now. You can hear people gasping in the street. David, can you still hear us?
Yes, I can.
So tell us, we were just looking at video from just a few minutes ago when the spire fell and people on the scene, you could hear them gasping. So take us there to where you are. What is it like? How are people feeling?
So it's definitely an ominous quiet right now. I think people have finally understood what exactly has just transpired. As I said, there are hundreds of people lined on the several bridges here along the River Seine. We're about a half a mile away now. We can still see the flames shooting into the air, and I think people are just in shock at what they're seeing. We can see 2 towers from here. The flames are in the middle. The smoke is a lot less thick than it was initially, but the mood is pretty somber. There's still some tour boats coming through, and as I mentioned earlier, there's still joggers, and the city is still somewhat bustling in some way, but I think as people start to make their way here, perhaps for the first time, having not heard the news, they're beginning to realize that something has occurred and they're trying to get a closer look.
We can actually see, and this is the first we've seen, water actually now reaching the roof. Again, how far away are you at this point?
We're roughly about a half a mile away. We're standing on the side of the River Seine. We decided to get away from all the traffic, and then we can get a little bit of a better view from where we're standing. So we have a pretty clear view. We're just right next to the Museum d'Orsay, right on the river. Is
the air compromised where you are?
Not right now. Like I said, the smoke is a lot less thick than it was. But the initial, when it was billowing out initially, it was fairly thick and hard to breathe. And we decided that, our eyes started just seeing and that sort of thing. We started to feel it in your mouth and in your lungs. And we said we probably should start moving the opposite direction to get to safety. But right now, the air seems to be fairly clear.
I know you said it's ominously quiet. Are the streets crowded with people?
There are. I think some people decided to move away because initially we didn't know whether this was some sort of attack or whether it was an accident. And it sounds like from what you're reporting so far, it may have been the latter. We don't know if there are injuries, but we hear some sirens, but no ambulances or paramedics. So there's not pandemonium. If you have the scenes after 9/11 in New York in your head, it's nothing like that. It's much more quiet. I think the people were more in shock and more curious about what was happening. And I think once they knew what was occurring, they started pulling out their phones, and a lot of people were just trying to capture video and photos as it was happening.
Do you feel safe where you are?
Yeah, right now we feel pretty safe. I mean, there's not, like I said, there's not a panic in the air. You know, we're too far to see whether there's, you know, activity right in front of the cathedral itself. But there's a lot of sirens going on the streets above us. But yeah, it's a pretty calm mood right now where we are.
Yeah, we are looking at live pictures.